Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Rails.
REDUX.
I don't know why I went in a very slow, methodical pace there.
Nope, that was like a Randy Orton.
I'm Chris Panda with FoxxySteve.
We ain't doing that the whole show. It's gonna be 2 hours long.
I'm from the Sloth Village.
Oh no, not the DMV, not that guy. Oh, Jesus.
So yeah.
You okay? Uh-oh.
No. So we want to thank everybody for joining us today. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe this video. And if you're listening to us on any of our podcasting services through Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, or wherever else that may be, highly rate us. Keep listening, subscribe, and just stay tuned for more, as this is, like I said, the redo of Off the Rails. More bite-sized, more entertaining, more stupidity for your listening pleasure. So this week, we like to take a time to speak on something that is absolutely astronomical. The date, Wednesday, January 19th, 2022. The event, Microsoft has acquired Activision Blizzard. Steve, thoughts?
Holy shit. Fuck. I woke up on Tuesday morning, like, look at my phone. That must be a Photoshop. Hold on, let me just look. No, that's Microsoft's Twitter. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is real. What the hell is happening?
Yeah, for close to $68 billion, they have acquired Activision Blizzard, which includes Activision, Blizzard, and all their subsidiary companies, Toys for Bob, Treyarch, Sledgehammer, you name it.
Name it, they got it. I think I have an image.
Oh, you're gonna try and read what the Activision stuff has?
Oh, it's not too many things. It's
and King, I forgot. The people who make Candy Crush.
Yeah, and they're making a big deal out of that. I guess Candy Crush is still like just raking in money. So
yes, it's very much still a dominant force. So it's not even crazy. Obviously, we could go over the list, but people like Infinity Ward are still there. Raven Software.
Yep.
B-Nox,
which I didn't realize was still there.
High Noon and Raven Software, I think I said already. Demonware. So pretty much everybody, like I just mentioned before, they're joining people like 343, Coalition, Bethesda,
the initiative, Obsidian. This image, I'm gonna post. We can post this image on the YouTube video. Just maybe. It's the amount of studios that Microsoft now has after this acquisition, which doesn't technically close until fiscal year 2023, which is July of 2023. The amount of developers they have now is ridiculous with this acquisition between Blizzard and Activision.
So, with that being said, is this too much?
I'm like torn because I'm like, it's awesome just because they're being rescued from Bobby Kotick.
Sort of, yes.
Sort of, but it's also kind of fucked because this is
the literal definition of monopoly.
It's the consolidation of more studios, which is not a great thing. But I feel like in this situation, it may be a necessary evil. We don't know yet. I mean, they could still be awful. We don't know yet. But considering Microsoft's track record with the devs they do have, they seem to let people do their thing and be happy.
Yeah.
And history so far has shown that Phil Spencer doesn't seem to be an asshole.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I've taken away from it is that it does feel like a monopoly, like I stated. It does feel just a little bit like they're just trying to grab a dominant force and take it away from their competitor, which is largely Sony. Nintendo is a competitor, but Nintendo has their own strong enough IPs and the way that they conduct business that if it's a Nintendo product, you're getting a quality product you can only find on Nintendo platforms. Understandable, whatever. third-party stuff, that's where Nintendo struggles most because they're using hardware that isn't up to date, which is why we need a Switch Pro. Cough, cough.
Yeah.
And it really goes to show that when you have a Switch, most people say you need at least a PlayStation or an Xbox to accompany it, or a PC if you're not a complete piece of shit. So, that was mean. That was mean. I have an Xbox. I have a Switch and a PC.
If you're not a total asshole.
If you're not a complete cunt. Anyway. Essentially, what I'm getting at is that when you see this, the one thing that somebody mentioned that I do agree with and I kind of hate is that it takes away the spirit of competition.
It does. And here's crazy news story broke today after all this went down. Video Games Chronicles, Tom Ivan reported that Sony's shares dropped by 13%, which took off $20 billion of market value after the announcement. And then EA, Ubisoft, and Square's market share went up.
Oh.
So what do you think of that?
So that is very promising. I haven't heard this news. This is new to me. To counter that, and I don't know how many listeners, viewers, whatever the case may be, Phil Spencer kind of made a tweet that said, "Bitch, we ain't done yet." And I was like,
I saw that. I saw that
like,
tweet. He was like, "We're not done looking at other places." I'm like, chill.
So, and I read a couple comments from it, and when I hear that, their market share is going up, I think it's because investors in those companies are like, wait a minute, they could be bought out by somebody as big as Microsoft. That means I can get more money. We should invest into these companies now so that when the inevitable could potentially happen,
fatten them up to get
richer. It's in the business and economics world, it's completely insane. First off, a monopolization should not happen. We don't need it because, like I said, it's going to ruin the spirit of competition, and it's going to be a driving force that's just a little too dominant. I don't think it'll be that drastic, but it's going to be something insane where now I think Sony's going to try to work their best to acquire, if not the companies themselves, an extremely strong relationship with them. But the problem is, if like, hypothetically, Sony's like, EA, hey, we don't have enough money to buy you, but we want to make the best offer possible for you to develop exclusively for our platform. They're probably going to say no. So they're going to be like, you have to give us something that will make us want to give you certain things that we won't give Xbox. And that could happen. That's a possibility. But the problem is, like, EA is mostly known for sports games. And FIFA is a huge sports game that is most often promoted on Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, you also got to think that EA Play already has a deal with Game Pass.
Xbox and Game Pass.
Yeah.
So EA is pretty much off the table. Square probably would go Sony. That would be the most logical thing. Ubisoft, I think they're a toss-up. I feel like they would go Nintendo. They'd be like, fuck you guys. We're going to the happy place.
Nintendo and PC.
Yeah.
Who do you think, if Sony had to make a counter and buy someone, who do you think Sony would go after? Who would you want Sony to go after?
Who would I want Sony to go after?
You got EA, you got your Ubisoft, you got your Square, you have Sega, you have Take-Two.
Okay.
In terms of like crazy deals you never think would happen.
So here's the thing. Here are two companies that I think would make the most sense, whether I want them to happen or not. Take-Two Interactive, because I feel like they have a long-standing history with PlayStation, and most people equate like Grand Theft Auto and
NBA 2K.
It's just everything.
Like the huge money-making franchises from Take-Two.
They mostly just look at them as like, this is Sony stuff. Now, granted, like NBA 2K and all the 2K stuff, people are like, whatever, you can get it on, so it's fine. But the Grand Theft Auto series alone is like, that feels just like Sony.
Having like just Rockstar from Take-Two is, I mean, because it feels like Sony, because throughout that whole last generation, PS4 was the leading, console. So,
and even in PS2, when Grand Theft Auto started to hit its strides, it was PlayStation.
They started off as PlayStation.
It's PlayStation centric. It came to the other stuff, but it was centric PlayStation. Now here's the one that I could believe it to be real. Eventually, I don't know how much of it could be real, but it could be a real possibility, and I don't want it to happen. And that's Capcom.
Ooh.
Yeah, I could believe Capcom could do it. Capcom does have a decent amount of money, but with like Street Fighter V, Sony basically funded that.
Yeah, they did.
So it's a very real possibility that when Street Fighter 6 comes around, they may fund that again and say, hey, it's going to be PS5 and PC again, which a lot of people probably won't be too pleased with, but we do know that they could use the extra money and the extra manpower to get these games out, and who has it and who has the support other than Sony?
Yeah,
especially with Sony owning Evo.
Yeah, that did happen.
That did. See, things happen. A lot of stuff happened this year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, last year.
You know, when Microsoft got Bethesda, and that was $7 billion, I'm like, that is crazy. And
that was $7 billion?
Yeah, this is $70 billion. Like, you know, and Phil Spencer said, in terms of exclusives, he said that he's not gonna rob people of those platforms, right? Of like Call of Duty and whatever. But we've seen this movie before with Bethesda. Like, you don't spend $7 billion to put your game somewhere else. You also don't spend $70 billion to put your game somewhere else. You know what that means? That means, oh yeah, Call of Duty Warzone, you can still be playing that. The Vanguard, sure. The next Call of Duty multiplayer and story mode, though, ooh.
No. I think Modern Warfare will be on all platforms. They're already developing it for all platforms. Yeah, I even think the one after that may be all platforms.
Yeah, there may be some long-running contracts, but at some point.
But after that,
at some point,
because I know development. Okay, right now we're on Sledgehammer. Then it's going to Infinity War with Modern Warfare that's coming out in 2022 because they've already basically said it's coming out, which is fine. That's a Call of Duty topic that we don't really need to get into at the moment. It's fine. Hopefully they just fix doors. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
That was the only thing with Modern Warfare that I was just like, so many goddamn doors.
But just imagine, because you play
and
Call
there's
of Duty.
Treyarch.
Yeah, it's Treyarch, yeah.
And usually Treyarch has already kind of got an idea of what they're doing, which is Black Ops 50,000 BC.
Throwing spears at each other.
It'd be an interesting change of pace. I'm like, this is stupid. I like it.
Man. And it's still quick scoping.
But as a Call of Duty player, you kind of like, when you see how big of a deal this is, there's no way you're thinking, I'm only going to play this on PS4 or PS5. Like, I'm already pretty much just a PC player because they added controller support that actually works. Because if you play Black Ops 4, controller support was there, but it did not work. It was really rough around the edges. They added cross-plat, which is good, but the problem is I don't know how long it's gonna last now.
With Xbox scooping up everything,
yeah,
you'll at least get PC to Xbox.
Yeah, I feel like that's gonna happen, and I feel like that's gonna draw console sales up more. Because even if people are saying I can't afford a PC to play the newest Call of Duty, but I can afford an Xbox Series S, or maybe I'll spend the extra money to get a Series X so I can get the premium visual fidelity and extra like frame rate enhancements.
Yeah. And you'll have Game Pass, which means you'll have Call of Duty day one.
I'm pretty sure Call of Duty is going to hit Game Pass.
Oh, absolutely.
For how long it'll stay on there, I don't know, because they know it's going to be the money thing, but I know Xbox is going to be like, yeah, it's going to be on Game Pass. Like, they're getting smaller games to be on Game Pass, which is, by the way, you should get me a Game Pass. Like Windjammers, which comes out Windjammers comes out next week on Game Pass.
Yeah, I know.
Smaller title, but it's been in development for a long time, long-running community. You see stuff like that with like even Streets of Rage 4 when that was a big game, but it was a smaller title. And it's coming out. And it's like, yo, these are small games, and Game Pass is just scooping them up. Putting them on that little Sunday they got. Yeah. It's like, ooh, that's a little bit of fudge and a little bit of caramel.
It was also reported that Game Pass has 25 million subscribers now.
Yeah, it's kind of the only thing in gaming that's worth the money. Until, of course, Sony decides to either... Okay, now here's the question.
Say it.
I know you've seen this rumor.
I've seen it.
There's a rumor that Game Pass is coming to PlayStation.
It's not really a rumor. It's more like... Hey, just put Game Pass on PlayStation.
It's a pipe dream that's really ridiculous.
Like, because at this point it was like Jeff Grubb from GamesBeat. At any rate, it makes a good point. Like, just put it on there, Sony. You're gonna have to break down at some point because it's getting to a point where Xbox is like literally changing the landscape of video games to fit Game Pass, and it's like you're gonna have to shape up or figure out a new strategy, like whatever their Project Spartacus thing is, to like revamp their service to make their own kind of Game Pass thing. With this announcement, like I don't know if they're like, I don't know what is Sony even? What do you think Sony's thinking right now after that announcement?
It's crazy. It's crazy because so here's the funnest facts of this podcast that make me laugh hysterically. So last podcast we were doing, pipe dreams that you want for 2022. I was like, I want to see, and I don't know if it's gonna happen, but PS3 hit PS4. So I put the podcast up, and Crip messages me. Shout out to Kryptonite,
friend of the show.
He's like, hey, I listened to it, and you must be a goddamn wizard or something. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he gives me a link to a web page, and it's like, yeah, PS3 games found on PS5 store. And I'm like, oh my sweet God, they must have heard me. Because somebody they found them on like the German store or something like that. So it's like, I feel like they are ramping up to do a similar Game Pass-esque thing. And if you have a PC, you know that PlayStation emulation isn't that difficult. Even up to PS3.
Yeah.
It's gotten marginally better. People are able to emulate a Surge RAF 4K,
it looks incredible.
60 frames per second.
That looks incredible.
It is phenomenal.
Holy shit.
There are a lot of games who have like up and running and they're fantastic with like a couple graphical hitches, some without any, and it's like, yo, this is incredible. Now imagine if Sony said, we see that the community out there is doing it. We can't stop them from doing it because even if we shut it down, they're gonna do it again. So they're probably not worried about it. So instead, what they'll do is they'll take their own in-house engineers and own craftsmen and say, we want you to make emulators that work only on PS5.
Good.
So a PS1 emulator, fucking cake. That thing runs on 2 potatoes and 1 little bit of graphics chip. It's fine. Cut it, ship it, print it, who cares? PS2, a little more complex. What was the architecture called for that? I know you...
PS2? Oh, the emotion engine.
The emotion, thank you. The emotion.
You can feel it.
I felt some emotions, all right. You killed my console, you sons of bitches. And then there's PS3. PS4, they're kind of doing, because it's like very similar.
Yeah, PS4 just ran off an AMD architecture.
So it's very similar. So a lot of that stuff could be a part of a history Game Pass service.
Good.
Xbox was already like, look, we got Xbox One games. Hey, you're on this Game Pass service. Then they were like, hey, we got 360 backwards compat, and they're putting them on there. And then the following year, they're like, hey, we got original Xbox. Bam. And they're like, every one of those games works on the new Xbox. Yay! Ah! So everybody's freaking out.
Everybody's just jacking off in the streets.
Everybody's jacking off in the streets.
Look at
Kids
everybody.
are going ballistic. I once saw a toddler shit in his hands and go, ah! And it was
FPS boom!
And he was like, Fortnite, and it was crazy, and it was unbelievable. All because he was playing whatever he wanted on Xbox. Did you know there's a backwards compatible sale on Xbox right now?
Really?
And there are games on there that I didn't even know. Did you know Time Splitters 2 and Future Perfect are backwards
I
compatible?
did see that.
I was
right,
like,
yeah.
these are backwards compatible. And they're like on sale for like $3.50 a piece.
Yep.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Gun Valkyrie? Who the fuck knows what Gun Valkyrie is?
I don't know. Is that a shmup?
It's an action game from Sega on original Xbox. But it's like, excuse me? There's like, Xbox has probably the most concise structure right now.
I mean, dude, they are killing it. And that's kind of why I'm kind of half and half on this purchase, just because they know now how to handle studios. They know how to handle developers.
Yeah.
They know how to have just enough management and enough like money backing, but also leave them be to create what they want to create.
Yes.
Like my theory is, you know, this purchase goes through, Kodak leaves, everybody reports directly to Phil. You know, all this discourse going on with Activision Blizzard. They settle that. These devs can make the art they want to make. Every developer on the Activision side is supporting Call of Duty. And Activision Blizzard, most of them, and Activision Blizzard on their own was like, okay, we got to keep it pumping out every year. We got to do it every year. Microsoft doesn't need COD to come out every year.
You know,
so they can open up some of these devs to do other games.
I didn't even think about that, but that would make me the happiest Call of Duty fan in the world.
Bring Crash back, bring Tony Hawk back, or whatever or new IPs.
I was about to say they did bring those back. Crash did come back, and currently Crash 4 is not that bad. Apparently it's pretty good. Tony Hawk 1 and 2 HD, pretty good as well from what I hear. But of course, you know, now EA is dealing with a skate game, and people are wondering, when's that coming? So who knows what Tony Hawk's next idea landscape may be? But for me, it's like, fuck. You can take a time off from Call of Duty now.
Take a time off from Call of Duty. It doesn't have to be ran into the ground, because the same publishing house that has Call of Duty also has Halo, also has Wolfenstein, also has Doom, also has Overwatch. And Gears. It has like every major shooter.
It has pretty much every shooter. The only things that are missing are like Fortnite, Apex, and like Battlefield, and of course, I mean, Killzone. But
that's PlayStation.
Which is funny, because ever since this deal happened, people are like, yo, Sony needs to bring Killzone back. Now, hypothetically, I'm like, they don't need to bring it back, because the last time they brought it back, it was a turd sandwich as a launch title.
Yeah, and I think I have a theory why, because, you know, the main team who was doing Killzone was off working on Horizon.
Yeah.
So.
And the worst part is they need to find a way to replicate the grittiness of 2 and 3. That was what made Killzone feel dope.
Yeah,
it was felt gritty and grounded. And then the one that they came out on PS4 was in like a jungle setting, but it was like kind of open world, and it wasn't fun to play.
No, it wasn't fun to play. And 2 and 3, I thought the enemies, the Hellgas, were really interesting in there, and the way they kind of framed the story was kind of like, you're fighting these dudes, but are they really straight up the bad guys? You know,
yeah.
It seemed like they had a pretty decent reason as to why they were doing what they were doing. So
exactly, it was like, you can't even poison our planets or poisoning yours.
Yeah, you know, like Killzone 4 just kind of threw all that out the window.
Yeah, it was. I was one of those people who's like, man, I love Killzone. I didn't have a PlayStation at launch. I ended up getting a PlayStation 4 and played that game 4 years after launch, so it was already rough by that point. But I was like, let me try it. You know, who cares? It's only it's $5. Who cares? Oh man, that was. I think I spent 45 minutes to an hour and a half on it, and I was like, click.
Yeah.
And then I took it back to GameStop. I was like, this game doo-doo.
Yeah, like people give Infamous Second Son a hard time, but it's like leagues better than Killzone 4.
Oh yeah, it's at least marginally entertainment in a bad.
It's not even a bad game.
I can't even fucking speak. Oh. Infamous is much more enjoyable as an entertainment
it's fun.
Piece of media than Killzone was. And on top of that, I guess you could say that they could bring Resistance back, but I mean, there isn't much of a story to bring with Resistance, because they kind of wrapped it up in 3.
Unless they make like a new IP or something.
Yeah, they could, which is all Insomniac, who's working heavily on Ratchet & Clank. But I liked when they did Sunset Overdrive, which was Xbox exclusive, which won't come out on Sony. And I did like Resistance, to be completely honest. I even liked the Resistance game that was on PSP, which a lot of people don't talk about. I don't think Insomniac did it, but it's the people who did the Siphon Filter games on PSP.
Oh, that's Sony Bend.
Yes.
Yeah, they did Days Gone.
Yes. Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that was their first major AAA console game in a long time.
Some people like that game.
They do. Some people like it.
And those people are also wrong. But Resistance on PSP, really solid game. I can't wait to actually showcase it when I bring out the new series where I go over like pretty much every PSP game, because it's like a hidden gem. And I'm like, this game is like really good. It just sucks because it's a third-person shooter on a platform that has one stick.
Was that Resistance Retribution?
You are correctamundo.
Okay, wow.
Ding, ding, ding.
What do I win?
Give him 5 nickels to shove in his coin purse.
I always wanted to have nickels.
But it's really good. And the first time I played, I was like, yo, they could do more things like this, because this is solid. It was just, like I said, you know, it needed a joystick on that console, so it sucked. But it was super fun, and it was really good.
Sony has to be scrambling. And it's crazy that like nobody heard anything about this. There was no
really
rumors. Weird. There wasn't a whiff of this.
It was just out of nowhere. And it just makes me wonder. I'm like, 'cause Sony, I saw somebody on, I think, TikTok earlier, and like, Sony should be worried. We got Call of Duty now. And they pulled out, you know, they got Horizon, and they got Wolverine and Spider-Man. It's like, Sony doesn't have a lack of things to put on their platform.
No, they don't have anything to worry about now.
Yeah.
Later.
See, the problem is that we are year 2?
Yeah, year two.
Year two into these next-gen consoles. And I'm using next-gen very lightly because usually Sony's life cycle plan is 7 years.
Something like that.
It's either 6 or 7 years. I don't know how long this is about to be because chip shortage, pandemic, I feel like that's going to have to go a little longer.
Yeah.
Before we get a brand new console. They always bet on at least a 10-year cycle, which is weird because when I think of that, yeah, they cut the PS4 off early.
Yeah, PS2 really established that 10-year deal.
PS3 did too.
So, and then, yeah, PS4 was 2013 to 2020?
They recently started selling it again, but it's like they shut it off like immediately once PS5 came out.
Oh, yeah.
There was PS4 games still being made.
Oh, yeah, then the shortage happened, and then, yeah, I actually saw PS4 controllers at the store today.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah, saw a few of them. Still $65, so I was like, you gonna stay here. But, yeah.
Hey, $65 is way better than $85.
85.
That's how much man was telling us the store was selling for.
Maybe I should have got a couple.
Yeah, that's why I was like, it's bad, but it's still better. So yeah, we're just in a situation right now where the landscape of video games is a little weird. It is media-wise, I mean, like we got Moon Knight trailers, and that's neat. I can't speak on it for him, but I thought it was cool.
I haven't seen the trailer. I'm gonna go in blind. I don't know anything about Moon Knight, so I figure I'll catch up on Hawkeye. And then I'll watch Moon Knight just blind without knowing anything about the character.
Did you watch the Cuphead trailer?
I don't really care about Cuphead. So. Oh, you assaulted me.
That Cuphead trailer was great.
The games are cool. I don't really. Go ahead. Don't strike me again.
The Cuphead trailer was great. It feels like they made a Cuphead cartoon based in that era and said, all right, we're going to make it modern, but still based in that era and push it out. It's probably going to be the best thing Netflix has put out based off an IP in quite some time.
I will say Arcane is, I'm almost done with it. It's really good. I don't know anything about League of Legends, and I'm really enjoying it.
I don't know.
It's just a good story. It's just a good story. You got to know nothing about League of Legends to enjoy it. This is just a good ass story. So far, anyway. So far. It could turn out to be total dog shit by the end.
It's probably dog shit.
But, yeah, this whole...
But yeah, there's at least...
My mind's been exploding for 2 days based off of this whole thing.
I've been fine. I've been playing Monster Hunter Rise. That's been neat.
How is Monster Hunter Rise on PC?
So much better than World on PC. World had more to it. There was a lot more foliage in it. But this, it's like out the gate, it runs good. And it's phenomenal. I'm like, what the fuck did they do wrong the first time? And I'm like, this game runs fantastically. And I'm enjoying it. I actually just finished in quotations the single player Monster Hunter missions and whatnot. They gave me credits, but they're like, here's more missions. And I'm like, well, looks like I'm not done. But the best part about it, if you haven't played Rise to World, you can do multiplayer immediately. You don't have to remember how we were playing World? We had to go through a little bit before you can get it?
All this little story stuff and tutorial things.
Yeah, there's
one cutscene play.
Yeah, there's one little bit of tutorial stuff in the beginning where it's like, hey, here's the base of where you start, and then you're good. And then it's like, here's the gathering hub, and that's where you go and meet people, and then bam.
No.
It's easy. It's easy to go from there. It's fantastic. Combat's fluid. It's great. It runs well. Graphically, it looks good. That RE engine is impressive because it looks better than the Switch version, but it's still miraculous to me that the Switch version runs as well as it does, and it looks like that. And I'm like, wow, it's a good thing. I can't wait to play RE Village on Switch at 24 frames a second.
Yeah.
It's going to be grand. I kid. But no, Monster Hunter Rise is great. And then, of course, Pokemon Arceus is coming out, which I'm probably not going to play immediately. But I may play it. No, I'm not going to say it on camera.
What? You already started the sentence.
Okay.
You might as well go ahead and finish it.
I saw somebody playing it on TikTok already.
What? Oh,
Arceus.
Arceus? It leaked? Oh, shit.
Yep.
Well, hell.
Switch simulator. People are playing
God.
it. I'm like, damn, that was quick. But I forget a lot of Pokemon games usually leak early, so it's not really that big a surprise.
That game just doesn't look very good to me. It looks so empty. It looks better. The trailer I saw looks better than the E3 one. It looks like it's smoother anyway. like it runs better than that trailer. It just looks so empty. Like it's like the Pokemon game that we wanted, but without any of the stuff we wanted in it. At least from what I can tell.
I don't know, because the only way I'm gonna know if it's good or not is if it comes out and play it. So I'm reserving judgment for it. Like I'm a Pokemon fan enough to know when I do like a Pokemon game and when I don't. I am not a hypocritical, oh, they're fantastic and I play every one of them. Nope. I can tell you when one's bad. Shining Pearl, Brilliant Diamond, they're good, but they ain't different from the other ones. So
yeah,
Sword and Shield are better. That's the way I look at it. Like Sword and Shield at least are better. So, but at the very least, it's like we got games to come up on. We're still trying to make more content and play so many things. And Mario Party still exists.
That game's the devil.
It's the devil for you, but yet I'm still fucking losing week in and week out.
I lost too.
You did.
Some bullshit. They got robbed.
I came in second place.
Okay.
And the week before that, I came in second place.
Well.
And then on Monday, I came in second fucking place.
You know, sometimes you.
And you know whose fault it is? You know whose fucking fault it is? Zev. Zev fucked me over 2 times.
Wow.
And I didn't even realize it until at the end of the game. I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait a minute. Zev, you're the one who blasted me with the laser last week, took all my coins, and then this week you stole my fucking star, which would have gave me the win.
You were putting it all together.
The math problems were moving, and I'm like, holy shit. You killed me. I was just like, I can't believe it. But I look at Mario Party as fun events. And I treat them like really big, weird wrestling matches.
Yes, yeah. You gotta get in the character.
You gotta have fun, man. Like, if the games won't give you the fun that you desire, then you make the event itself fun. So, and since I won't get a win anytime soon, apparently, might as well become O2 Triple H, you know what I mean?
Oh, no.
Oh, he was injured.
Well, but he came back to that huge pop, so you can be over.
99 Triple H.
Okay, now we're talking.
There we go.
Yeah. You know what time it is?
I gotta get my weird backwards leather
cap thing, his Kango, his leather Kango.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Jimmy with that Triple H.
I want to have my face plastered behind me like...
Yeah.
Oh, man. But I had something in mind that I wanted to ask you. Who do you think Xbox's next target is?
Oh, shit, dude. Oh, my God.
I have mine in my head already. I've been thinking about this. I'm like, they have to get this one. So, you asked me about Sony. What do you think about Xbox, though?
Okay. All right. So, okay, here the thing is, after this, there's no fucking rules anymore. Like, forget everything you know. Anything can happen. So, the number one thing that's in my head, Take-Two.
Man, that's shooting for the moon. You really think they'll go that far?
I'm about to look up Take-Two's net worth real quick, just to see.
Because I mean, yeah, like we mentioned with Sony, I think Take-Two is an excellent studio. You know, the Rockstar alone is incredible, and then of course
Take-Two is worth currently $18 billion.
That's not bad.
Which is, I guess, nothing for Microsoft. Now, if they want to spend a little bit less money and not deal with Take-Two, maybe they scoop up Sega.
You know what's funny? That's who I'm thinking. Everybody has been thinking that Sega was going to get bought out by Microsoft for a long time, and I'm like, Sega's probably the most likely. And okay, so here's my thing. Xbox has been dying, and I mean dying, since its inception for Japanese publishing support.
Yeah, since the very first Xbox, they have not done amazing.
They have been struggling. They're like, hey, we got guy Akira Toriyama help out. You like he do the Dragon's Bowl. Huh? You like that, kiddos?
Do you want this game we got? It's called, what was it called?
Blue Dragon?
Blue Dragon. There it is. Thank you for the line.
You like Infinite Undiscovery?
Yeah, some of that last remnant. Oh, we got Lost Odyssey back there.
I heard you like Eternal Sonata.
Of the Spotless Mind.
And eventually Eternal Sonata went on PS3.
It did.
And so did Tales of Vesperia in Japan, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Sega would be like...
That would make probably the most sense.
Fucking it would be the fucking move.
They are currently worth $3.6 billion.
Sega's not worth a whole lot.
No.
They went from like one of the pinnacle like companies to just kind of like coasting. And they're doing well. They're not doing shitty.
As far as I know, yeah, they're doing fine. I memean, and they have properties like Bayonetta and Sonic, which is always a huge IP.
I just punched my microphone accidentally.
For as up and down as the quality of Sonic is, the IP is huge.
Okay. I have to bring up my mythological, fictional red board. I have to get the red. I have to get the red string.
Okay.
Xbox is a multi-million-dollar company. They have recently acquired. I'm sorry, multi-trillion-dollar company. Yeah. That's why this is just like, who gives a fuck? They recently acquired Activision Blizzard. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that states that they couldn't afford Sega, because Sega's not worth a whole lot. They're worth a lot, but
in terms of their money, it's not a lot.
It's not a lot. Sega becomes purchased by Microsoft.
Okay, I'm with you.
Microsoft now owns Sega properties, including Sonic the Hedgehog, Jet Set Radio, franchise shit, Billy Hatcher.
Yeah.
Because why not? Bayonetta.
Yeah.
Bayonetta is exclusive to Nintendo Switch. Bayonetta on Nintendo Switch means that Xbox Game Pass comes to Switch.
That was an interesting journey you took to get there.
And I want you to say, that doesn't make sense. Because guess what? It does make sense. Xbox works a deal with Nintendo, especially after the Rare deal that they've done with Banjo-Kazooie showing up on Nintendo Switch Online and Banjo in Smash. Bayonetta gets bought up, and now they're like, hey, we're so confident. We love you guys. We love it if you produce an xCloud version of Game Pass specifically for your platform.
Historically, Microsoft and Nintendo have been playing much nicer together than Sony and Microsoft have.
Exactly. Ori and the Blind Forest and Cuphead are both on Nintendo platforms.
Yeah. Now, I don't see... Somebody made a good point that I saw earlier, that the current Switch may not have enough horsepower to handle Xbox Cloud gaming. But if they do that next Switch...
Just saying. There's a lot of... I know it's a pipe dream, but the cogs could turn in the best conceivable fashion for that. And I could see it. I could dead ass be like, yo, the Mad Lads did it.
Xbox buys Nintendo now.
Okay.
No.
They won't do that.
Let me look up Nintendo's net worth.
They won't do that.
Nintendo isn't going to sell, though, because Nintendo is doing well enough to not have to sell.
Yeah, they're not going to do that. But Sega, see, the thing is, I think...
$55 billion. Literally less than Activision Blizzard, though.
Listen, shut up. The thing is...
Everybody's on the table, baby. Nobody's safe.
Microsoft can buy most of these video game companies because they own fucking Windows.
Yes.
They literally have a backlog of just money piled up for technology.
They really could, dude. It's so wild.
But at the same time, I feel like Bill Gates and Microsoft and everybody that's still there in the heads would be like, we can't let you spend all the fucking money. It's like, yo, chill out.
Apparently, from what I saw earlier today, it was Activision Blizzard who approached Microsoft with this sale, with this acquisition.
That's even more insane.
Because their stock has been just plummeting.
Well, I wonder why.
even though Call of Duty has been the top-selling game of this season.
Oh, it's not the fucking games.
It's the PR and the legal.
Yeah.
Causing their stock prices to plummet. Yeah.
People are still looking at it like, yo, is Kotick still around? Bet, I don't want that shit. And they're like, boo.
Yeah.
But literally, okay, there's 3 developers that need to be acquired, right? By Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. And this is the last thing I'm going to say. Sega needs to be acquired. I think Microsoft is a perfect fit for Sega. They seem to be doing well business-wise, and I feel like Sega's like, okay, you guys look at us like, hey, we're just keeping the spirit of Dreamcast alive. That's kind of how it always has felt. Capcom probably should get scooped up. I think Sony would be very likely to do so. I don't know how much of the sales for Capcom's properties do on other platforms.
I'm gonna look up their net worth, and I'm just curious now. Looking at this.
But I do know that Capcom isn't like extremely expensive either.
$4.6 billion.
Yeah, that's why I was like, they're not huge.
Now, Sony, the thing is, though, Sony Computer Entertainment, I don't know how much money they really have to throw around to buy something like that.
I can tell you it's not a lot.
Because, I mean, and really, Sony in general, like, PlayStation is pretty much their most profitable arm. They pretty much are PlayStation right now, besides their movies.
Yeah, they are. So, you gonna let me finish?
Sorry, go ahead.
And then there's Konami.
Oh, I forgot about Konami.
Konami needs somebody. Konami needs somebody to fist them like a puppet because they need to be worked around into the best acquisition possible.
Well, they probably don't care because they're getting all that pachinko money.
That ain't. You want to look up Konami's net worth?
I'm gonna look up their net worth
because I can tell you it ain't a whole lot.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
You gonna be surprised. You're gonna be like, oh, that's.
Man, it's amazing how quickly these things keep popping up. I think everybody's looking at everyone's net worth. It is 19.9 billion is that yen? It's like a V with 2 lines on
That's
it.
yen.
So is that like
19 billion yen is roughly like. Get rid of 2 zeros.
So that's like million.
Yeah. $19 billion in rupees.
That is 19 billion in yen to USD is 166,197,000.
167 million.
Yeah, 166 million. So wow, nothing, pretty much compared to these other places. Because they're ain't doing shit.
Well, maybe if somebody bought them, maybe they'd be fucking doing shit.
Maybe that thing is did we really want these companies to be buying up these other companies?
No, but the reason we need, if somebody needs to buy up Konami. You'd be hard pressed for anybody to disagree.
Yeah.
Because Konami needs a video games division head that can actually give them money.
Yeah,
Castlevania is a long-standing franchise that people love. Metal Gear is a long-standing franchise people love, and the people that were working at Konami ruined that so much that Hideo Kojima left to do his fucking walking simulator, and now he's talking about making some other weird shit probably where he's gonna be like, I make poop game. And it's like, what is that, Mr. Kojima? Who gives a fuck? And it's like, I'm sold.
5 out of 5.
Jeff Keighley's the turd.
I'm actually crying. That's how I play it.
Who would have thought taking a shit for 12 hours is going to be the most phenomenal gaming experience of my life?
And we're all connected somehow. Anyway.
And then there's just, like I said, Castlevania, Metal Gear Solid, Contra.
Silent
Hill. There's actual IPs tied to Konami that have a long-standing lineage so much that people love them and they're not being represented or utilized well. And the problem is because the people at top are making irrational and bad decisions. So the best way for good decisions to be made is to have somebody purchase said company, remove the bad elements, and say, okay, this is what works and this is how we're gonna fix it.
Yeah. Mr. Sony needs to call up Mr. Konami and be like, yes, is Konami for sale?
Yes. Like, we can still let you do the pachinko shit. We're like, hey, that's perfectly fine. There's a lot of pachinko machines and it's very popular and I understand. Makes sense. Whatever.
Yeah. Man, those IP rolled into PlayStation's library because they already have such great exclusives already. That would be huge.
Yeah.
Konami alone would be huge.
That's why it's like people
IPs.
just... And it gives the classic void. Like, the one thing that I'm saying Sega needs to go to Microsoft is because they need that classic kind of Japanese style video game. They have so many Western video games. Granted, to be completely honest with you, if you're in the know for video games, the Western market makes up a predominant share of the video gaming landscape. The Japanese market is so much smaller. And people are not aware of this. They're like, oh yeah, the Japanese are electronic central. It's not that way anymore.
Yeah, like the Asian market, you pretty much have things like the biggest thing within the Asian market is like Tencent, I think. And that's
Tencent and Riot, yeah. But it's even then, it's just like that's I think China. Yeah, that's not even Japan.
That's not even Japan.
And Japan, they still play the Japanese style game. They're still into like their visual novels. They're still into their RPGs.
Yeah, and those are all done by really small companies, NES and Vanillaware.
And nobody's gonna buy NIS and Atlas because whatever. I mean, technically, if Sega does get acquired, Atlas is kind of a subsidiary of Sega.
Does Sega own Atlas?
I believe so. I may be wrong on that, but I believe Sega and Atlas are like very close knit. I can't fully remember the relationship that the two of them share. But I do know that people in America want Sega products. And by all means.
It is, yeah. It's a subsidiary of Sega.
So, yeah. Persona 5 on Xbox. Persona 5 gets on Xbox, then goes to Game Pass, which then goes to Nintendo Switch with Bayonetta in it.
Persona 5 on Switch with Bayonetta in it. Confirmed.
Let me tell you.
We're breaking it here.
I'm giving you news stories that don't make sense. I want you to quote this for later, because it can happen. And I want you to hold on to your pants and britches real tight. Ladies, you got skirts, pull them up, grip your pantaloons, and just... I'm still wearing pantaloons. just get the grip in something and just get in. But I'm giving you the base facts that most people who are in this market and who are avid video game players, they're like, oh man, why aren't they getting people who make Final Fantasy, or why isn't there so many JRPGs anymore? It's because most people don't want that shit anymore. It's the large market, and where all the money comes from is places like Europe, Australia, and America. Japan will give you maybe less than 25%, maybe less than 20%, I think. It is not as big as it used to be, and you're gonna have to come to the realization that it's only gonna add to their assets, which is why Sega, big company, only worth what, 6 billion?
3.6.
That's why it's worth that. But then you look at Activision Blizzard, people who make Call of Duty,
and World of Warcraft, even if it's on the down, even if it's on the low, it's still huge.
And I mean,
and Overwatch, and StarCraft, and Diablo,
and of course the Candy Crush,
and the Candy Crush, which I didn't even realize they owned.
Candy Crush is the biggest money asset. Period.
Yeah, it's just
and that's like $68 billion. It's like holy smokes.
Like BlizzCon exists for a reason. Like that's how big just Blizzard was. I remember it being crazy when Activision bought Blizzard.
Yeah.
Let alone it's like this big fish just came and got. Oh.
It's like that scene. Man, you're gonna really hate me. I'm sorry. It's like that scene in episode 1, right? I knew you were gonna give me a sideways look. What the fuck are you talking about episode 1 for? It's that scene in episode 1 where they're like in the water with Jar Jar, and then they get beaten.
Yeah. And
then the other fish are like, bigger fish eat bigger fish. What's the Poopa Koopa?
That's.
Annie. Yay!
That's the line from the film, all right.
Something like that. I don't know if I can remember. Like Jar Jar Binks is Jar Jar Binks, and yeah, it was just they were the small fish. A fish tried to eat them, and then another fish was like, "Fuck you!"
Yeah,
and then they got away.
That's what this was.
This is literally kind of that. This is like, goddamn.
I feel like we're gonna get. There's gonna be so much. It's only day 2 of this happening, and we're already getting all these little details. I feel like as this goes on until 2023, we're gonna see so much news come out of this one purchase.
Yeah, who would have thought that we would have to do a whole podcast based on this basic? I tried to throw in some other sprinklings of shit, and it's like
it all just comes back. It all comes back to this because this is massive.
It's massive.
It's too big.
It's massive, and there's theory crafting, and it's like, what do you want us to do? It's like how could I even express any interest in anything else?
I had ideas, and then that happened. I'm like.
like I was just gonna wing the podcast this week and be like, we'll figure it out. Whatever, cool, it's fine. Hey, Monster Hunter came out. It's a pretty fun game. Nope. Hey, here's this big news story that's breaking CNBC.
Yeah, like as somebody who doesn't know that much about the business world, it seems a little concerning. Just as a pure video game fan, it's exciting. Just because it could have potential of getting us more games out of developers who have more talent than just making Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So, and of course, Game Pass, I ain't got to buy Call of Duty anymore.
It's time to bring back, I can't even remember the name of the game to make the joke. It's the X-Men game.
Oh, X-Men Destiny? Oh, no, that game is so garbage and booty. No, we're not doing that.
It's fucked up because I was gonna say X-Men Legends, but I was like, no, it was similar to that, but it wasn't that because it was shit.
It was like, but it was bad. Yeah, no way can we.
Yeah, it was X-Men Destiny. That game was doo-doo, and I remember playing that game, and I played it on the hardest difficulty and got through like 5 or 6 hours of that game without dying, and I was like, this is way too easy, way too boring, and just a pile of shit.
Yeah, stronger man than I.
Oh, after I died, I turned it off and sent it back.
Yeah,
all it took was one time.
I played it just in the store and was like, nope.
I rented it from GameFly, so I was like, bet. I'm gonna get my playtime worth. I'm not about to sit here and be like, damn, this game sucks ass, and send it back immediately.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna have more opinions as this thing goes on. Again, I honestly don't think it's gonna cause an antitrust issue because there have been bigger purchases. Like this is huge for video games, but it's not that big compared to other just companies in general.
But the thing is, the video game market is fledgling, new, and a lot smaller than other places. So only time is going to tell what's going to happen.
It depends on on how the government sees this. Yeah. So, and we'll know by July 2023.
Yeah. The only thing I can say is just buy Sega. Even if this falls through, just buy Sega. It's the most logical fucking decision. Yeah, I hate to make it that way, but I mean, if E3 rolls around and Microsoft doesn't come on the virtual stage and say, "Hi, I'm Phil Spencer. We have acquired a new partner for Microsoft Studios, and we're happy to announce the fine folks at Sega are finally joining our publishing company." We're like, "Woo, yeah!" And then they finally show off the new Sonic game, the open world thing, and they show off more of it or whatever it is.
Oh, Frontier, and it's like got money behind it now, so it looks amazing.
And then it's like, man, it's gonna say exclusive on Xbox and PC, and get it first on Xbox Game Pass. Woo! And then people and then they're like, hey, and it's like a new crazy taxi game, and it's running at 60 frames, and the world is huge, and it's like, oh, you can go from different levels of the city.
Every Sega published Dreamcast game comes to Game Pass.
Yep, and then they say, hey, every Dreamcast game comes, and they're like, hey, Alien Front Online, they bring back old PSO with online capabilities, and like, oh my god, and people are like losing their shit, and they bring back Ooga Booga, and people are like, what the fuck is an Ooga Booga? And it's like, yeah, this is a Dreamcast game, and people are like, oh, you could have left that one.
Xbox is E3. There's no E3 no more. Come on now, E3 is dead. That shit ain't coming. The live events the online events about to get canceled.
No, we got the Summer Games Fest. Jeff Keighley and his Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, I respect all the good work Jeff Keighley does, but that shit wasn't the move last year. Elden Ring was it for me, and that was it.
I'm pretty sure there's something else.
Well, we ain't got time to even go over this.
But hey, if you have any ideas of what could potentially happen in the future, or what you think you would like us to talk about on the next episode, please let us know in the comments on YouTube, or hit us up on Twitter at SFXXPLAY, and we'll consider it for the next podcast. On behalf of FoxxySteve, my name is iChrisPanda, and thanks for listening/watching Off the Rails Review. Till next time, adios.
Bye-bye.